The 3D, 5D Earth shift is here, and we are undergoing massive changes. So, what can you expect is going to be happening to you, and what can you do to be able to integrate into these new changes? That is what we are going to talk about in detail in this video. Let's get started. All right, so first, be prepared for massive changes. And I mean massive changes not only in the external, political, societal, financial, but also internally. Things are going to be shifting inside people, because bear in mind that the entire third dimensional universe as we experience it is a projection. Imagine a projection onto a screen. That's what this is. So the inside of the projector is changing. So what that means is the projection is going to start to morph from the inside out as well. So what can we do about that? So detach from careers and financial planning. This is going to go away. Now, we have been programmed to believe things like careers exist, the economy exists, money exists. These are all concepts. They don't physically exist. They only exist if we agree that they do. And the world where you could go and get a degree or get some kind of certification and get a career, and that would give you security, that world has been dying for a long time, but now it's going to completely fall apart. So don't get your feeling of security based on things like career and money and economy and things like that. Because watch, things are going to completely shift in that arena. Do not become attached to anything. It's extremely important, because if things are changing and you're attached to an idea, bear in mind, society is an idea. Everything in our human society is an idea. There was a time when our ancestors lived in direct connection to nature. And the rules that they followed were the rules that nature demanded that you follow in order to survive. We don't live in that world anymore. We live in a world of ideas. When I go and drive my car out on the street here in the United States, I have to drive on the right side of the road, or if I drive on the left side of the road, I might get, demolished by another car. And interestingly enough, I go out there, there's a 99.9% chance that everybody's going to follow that. It'll look as though it's a natural law, but it's not. It's ideas that people are choosing to follow. Same thing with going to school, getting a degree, getting a mortgage, having 2.5 kids, having a good credit score. All of these things are ideas. And if you become attached to them, which you have been trained to do, you've been trained to believe, just like if I go out there and I drive on the left side of the road, it might be dangerous to my life. You've been told that if you don't go get a career, get a mortgage, all that, it's going to be dangerous to your security and your existence. And that is just simply an idea. And these ideas are going to start coming apart. And if you're attached to them, it can be, very disheartening, to say the least. Become flexible in your living style. All right. So I'm experiencing this in my life, and I've, at least for the time being, decided to be completely mobile in my living. I've been trying to nail myself down to one place to live, but the world just won't let me do that. Not only that, I get miserable if I do that. I can't pursue the things that I want. So I'm going to just be completely mobile and live permanently in different places, different parts of the year. And that may change as well. I'm flexible in my living because I'm only going after what makes me happy. Listen, I would. I'm not superhuman. I would follow the world telling me how to live if it was something that I could easily do, and I can't. My insides won't let me. Thankfully, the universe won't let me fall into that trap. So I'm following where the energy goes. And what I'm saying is I believe this is going to start happening to more and more people. And everybody's different, but I'm saying be willing to be flexible about how you live, where you live, all that kind of stuff. Because as these changes come, you're going to have to be flexible in order to be able to adapt. Okay, so determine your soul desire and act on it. This has to do with dropping careers. The idea of a career, we live in a world where your identity is based on how you fit within the cookie cutter, what I'm calling the Ponzi scheme narrative. People's identity are based on that. They say, I mean, it's the first thing that people ask. Hi, my name's so-and-so. Oh, hi, what do you do? Your identity is based on your job, your career. It's not as much like that as it used to be. It used to be like that all the time. I've been around long enough to see that happen. That used to be the second thing that people would say. They'd say, hi, what's your name? And then they'd say, what do you do? And people would proudly say, I'm a whatever it is, because that's their identity. I mean, it even goes back further. People's last name. People didn't used to have last names, in case you don't know that. Last names came about because that was how you identified what somebody did. That's why we still have last names like Baker and Taylor, because that's what they were. That was, John the Baker. And then if you were John's son, you would be, that's Timmy, John's son. Oh, John the Baker? Yeah, that's Timmy the Baker. So your identity is based on what you do, but that's going to fall apart. Your identity is going to be based on who you are internally, not on what you do. If you're attached to that, if you need, this is what's going on with the whole gender dysphoria and the whole pronouns thing. It's a sign of chronic inability to have an identity, to try and force somebody to call you by a certain pronoun, and the need to be perceived in a certain way. And if people don't authentically perceive you in a certain way based on your pronoun or your chosen gender, if people don't see you that way, these people get so irate. Why? Because their experiences, they feel they're being told that they don't exist, because their identity is based on the perception other people have of them. And so this is the exact opposite of the spiritual path, which is you find your identity from within yourself. How people perceive you shouldn't, ideally, have any effect on how you perceive yourself. So this is where everything is going to shift. And if you're attached to the external way of doing things, if you get your value based on, other people's perception of your wealth, your whatever, fill in the blank. If that's where your identity is, when that starts falling apart, this is why people are flipping out. One of the reasons why everybody seems to be completely losing their mind, especially people who are really attached to the Ponzi scheme narrative. As that narrative falls apart, they're flipping out. All right, so become flexible in your living style. Full disclosure of energy and UFOs coming. So what I mean by energy is, and these two are connected, energy and UFOs. They're connected, and when one is revealed, so will the other. This is why there's so much talk about, this is why the powers that be, the government, the Pentagon, Congress, as well as the mainstream media, you can see it. They're trying to force some discussion about UFOs on to the public, and the truth is that the majority of the public doesn't care. They're not interested. They don't want to talk about UFOs. It doesn't push any buttons for them. But The reason is because if the truth about extraterrestrials were revealed, the truth of our world would be revealed, and that would completely destroy the control of the Ponzi scheme narrative. But it's also directly connected to how they make money. So the thing that drives the world is not really what you're being told. I mean, some of the things that you're being told, what drives the world, there's some truth to it. AI right now is a big deal, and big pharma, banking, those things are a big deal. But the thing that completely controls the economy, which again is just an idea, is actually petroleum, energy. So petroleum, natural gas, coal, these things, because these are the things that are most directly connected to your perceived survival. Because the thing we need first and foremost is we need electricity, we need heating and cooling, and we need fuel for our transportation. Without those things, we can't survive. So those are the things that are completely controlled. You don't have any control over these things. And if you were to be told that in actuality there is this thing called 0-point energy, where you can have a device the size of a matchbox which could completely power an entire city, heating, cooling, transportation fuel. If you had access to that, if everybody had access to free energy, the entire economy would collapse, because the entire structure of the world is based on this. You needing, again, if people want to believe that they're doing something, they're breaking away from the control and they have electric cars. Well, where are you going to get your electricity? You're going to get it directly from somebody that's selling you the electricity. You can't really do it yourself, not really. Just to give you an example, there used to be, when diesel cars were first invented, they were invented so that you didn't have to rely on gasoline. They were invented because you could use vegetable oil. So if you use vegetable oil, which is all over the place, I mean, you can go to your local burger joint and say, give me your used French fry oil. You can literally do that, and if you put it into an original diesel engine, it'll power your car and you can go. Does that happen now? No. In fact, if you do that, if you convert your diesel engine back to being able to use vegetable oil, cops will pull you over and give you a ticket. It's illegal. Why? Why is it illegal? It's illegal because guess what? The big rich people don't make any money off of it, because we live in a petroleum-based society. So once free energy is released to the world, they lose everything. They lose all of the control and the power that they have over you. This is directly connected to extraterrestrials because, as we know, the vast majority of UFOs are human created. And so these elite humans already have access to 0-point energy. They know it exists. They have their own now reverse engineered spaceships that they create. They have all that stuff. We have everything that we had in the movies, Star Wars and the Star Trek series. We already have all of that. But if you knew that, you wouldn't be continuously slaving away so that you could pay to have these companies give you resources to survive. So this is going to be revealed. There's no way. I mean, they're doing an extremely good job, and people still aren't completely ready to be awakened yet, which is why they're buying into it. But at some point, it's going to come crashing down when people realize that there's this thing called free energy. The entire economy is going to collapse. Their entire power structure over you is going to collapse. And so be prepared for that. When is that going to happen? I can't give you a date, but it's definitely coming. So become flexible in your living style. Full disclosure of energy and UFOs will be coming. All economic and societal structures will be eliminated as a result of what we just described. So determine your soul desire and act on it. And that is the hardest thing for people to do. Now, I've just gone a little bit deeper. I've been thinking about it today, and I've come to a deeper realization that the reason why people don't know their soul desire is because they don't know who they are. So understand that we've talked about externally what the powers that be do to control you. They let you think that 0 point energy doesn't exist because they need to make money off of you by forcing you to buy electricity to survive, to buy natural gas from them, to buy petroleum to survive. Once, externally, once that's gone, you won't need them, the economy will collapse. But the other thing is, internally, in order to keep you in the Ponzi scheme narrative, they have to destroy your connection to your authentic identity, your true self. And it's actually quite staggering when you realize how few people have access to their true identity. So I'm here to tell you, I hope this lands on you well, but I'm here to tell you that if you're somebody who doesn't know what their soul desire is, it means that you don't know who you are. And you don't know who you are because you have been abused, manipulated, hypnotized out of. We have a society that it continuously devalues you and punishes you when you get close to your own identity, your true identity. Again, this is what gender dysphoria is about right now. It's complete lack of identity. I don't know who I am. So I have to force you to pretend to know that you see me the way I want you to see me. Otherwise, if you don't use the right pronoun, I flip out. It means you don't have an identity. Because if you know who you are, it doesn't matter to you how people see you. It doesn't change your perception of yourself. So to know your true soul desire, you have to know who you are. So this is one of the services that I provide. If you are having a hard time finding what your deepest soul desire is, get a session with me. Ask a question in the comments section. I'll tell you how to get a session with me. And within an hour, I can help you determine exactly what your soul desire is, which will tell you who you are, which will tell you what your identity is. But I can't force you to take action on it. That's the hard part. You also get punished for taking action on your soul desire. This is why people are so stuck and so afraid. This is one of the reasons why people, can't. They want to figure out how to think more because they think if they can think more, they'll be able to figure out the world. And that's what. Anyway, so I want to help you with that. If you know what your identity is, you'll know exactly what it is that you want, and then you'll know what you need to do. And here's the good news. As we go further into this shift, the world is going to reward you on taking action on your desires. Right now, the world is controlled by the Ponzi scheme narrative, and you get rewarded for doing what you're told. You get rewarded for being a slave, working 8 hours a day doing a job you can't stand, just so you can get just enough money to be able to physically survive and buy from them. So you go and work for them 8 hours a day, you make them money, they give you a little bit of money. That money they just gave you, you turn around and you give back to them by buying electricity, by buying food, by buying gasoline for your car. So it's a shell game. It's a Ponzi scheme shell game. You never get out of it. And so as long as you are only doing what you're told instead of what you feel, they can control you. But the moment you start operating from what you think, truly inside, what you feel on the inside, they can't control you anymore, and they will try and punish you. But they won't be able to get away with it much longer. The world is shifting in such a way that they won't be able to get away with it. All right, so money will be replaced with energy. So along the lines of what I just said, right now money, again, it's an idea. It doesn't exist. It's an intellectual concept. Money actually does nothing. If you look at houses or buildings or you think, oh, look at the money. Where did that come from? Well, money, right? No, take a stack of bills, take credit cards, whatever, and throw it on the ground and say, okay, build a house. Won't do anything. It doesn't build anything. People do. People build houses. People build things. You pay them money because they think they need that money to get access to things. And again, the people who are running the world have all the resources, and they have this wall, and they won't let you pass it unless you give them this thing called money, and then they give you access to what the earth gives you anyway. So how did I get on that? Money will be replaced with energy. So what's going to happen is the world is going to reward you with energy. Energy, look, there are billionaires who are sick, who are dying of all kinds of diseases. That is because they don't have any energy in their body. Money doesn't have any energy in it. No matter how much money you amass, you're not going to get energy. You can buy as many doctors as you want. But I'm here to tell you that health is unlimited and free, and everybody can be completely healthy if they want to, but you have to be connected to energy, the energy of spirit, the energy of life, just chi, just the basic life force energy. You have to be connected to that. You can't be connected to that when you're in a state of trauma, when you're in a state of fear, when you're choosing to be a slave. You cut off your energy because you think your energy comes from having this thing called money and having this thing called approval and having this thing called fame and all that. You think that gives you energy, and it doesn't. And people end up really sick and really messed up. In fact, I've been talking with people today. I deal with clients a lot, and it came up in one of the conversations about how talking about somebody who has money and is very focused on money, and they're sick with a young person with a horrific illness, and it's unnecessary. It's a direct result of the fear. It's a direct result of the lack of energy that comes when you completely devote your life to living by the Ponzi scheme narrative. If you live your life based on connecting to spirit, which starts from, you can't connect to spirit if you don't have a connection to your own soul. Your soul connects you directly to the energy of the universe, and the energy of the universe will give you whatever you need. If in that moment what you need is money, you'll have the money that you need to get the resources. Sometimes it's just the resources. Sometimes people are given an opportunity to live and it doesn't cost them anything, so they don't need money to have a place to live. But in terms of the health of your body, it's a direct result of your direct connection being plugged in to the free energy of life that exists for all of us. So in exchange for your truth, for your passion, for your essence, the universe will give you energy because money will no longer be an issue. Industry will be decentralized. So that makes sense. As I said, we live in a petroleum-based society. And once that understanding is demolished and people say, I don't need to buy electricity from you, I don't need to buy gasoline from you, I don't need to buy that energy to live, I don't need to do that from you, then all of our industry is going to become decentralized. Because they centralize it so they can control it. Food, everything. Everything that you use, you have to go through them to get it. But remember, our ancestors used to live in direct connection to their environment, and their environment gave them the resources to create the reality that they wanted. And that's where we're going to be headed again. And we will have access to technology that we don't have now, which will give us the ability to access resources, manipulate resources, and create what we want. So that's coming. So in terms of living, be prepared to migrate instead of settle. So don't be stuck in one place. What they want you to do is they want you, again, go to school, get a degree, and then get entrenched in a certain job, which again, you work for somebody else and give them money so that they can charge you money for other stuff. It's a Ponzi scheme. But besides that, they want you to be stuck in one place. This is why people think, it's crazy, people think that owning a house gives them some freedom, which is the opposite of the truth. Because unless you happen to be extremely wealthy and you can buy a house outright, which almost nobody can do, and even in good times, things are horrible now. The housing market is absolutely horrible now, and people can't afford homes and can't afford to rent places and all that. Even if we go back in time when that wasn't the case, you were still being asked to be continuously put into slavery. You go to school, you get a degree, you get a job. Then you go and you get a mortgage, which is mortgage means death grip. You get a loan for a house. You are given the keys to the house and you're told that you own the house, which is a lie. The house is owned by the bank. You have to pay the bank rent for the house and you have to pay interest on top of that. They still own it. And then you have to pay taxes for the land that you supposedly owe. And if you improve your house and you increase the value of your home, then the state comes in and says, oh, your house is worth more now, we're going to charge you more tax. So you don't own anything. If you don't pay your taxes, they steal your house right from underneath you. If you don't pay your mortgage, they come and steal your house. You don't get any of the money back that you put into it. So the idea that you can own a home is a Ponzi scheme lie. And yet people have been completely hypnotized to believe that's what's going to give them power, that's what's going to give them control, that's what's going to give them security. None of it is true. I encourage you to be open to the idea of not being stuck in one place. Now, not everybody is me. I live that way. I've been living that way. I've been kind of forced to live that way just to follow the things that make me happy. But now I'm embracing this as a lifestyle. I'm not going to stay stuck in any one place. And I believe that helps with the mindset, because then you don't see the earth as a prison. You see it as a place to experience. You can go out and experience the world. And, I'm a surfer. I love to surf. And when I was a kid and when I was a young adult, it was expected that people in their late teens, early to mid 20s, that they would take off and experience the world. In fact, parents would say, go and travel the world for a few years. They'd say, sow your wild oats, get it all out of your system. And that was encouraged. Now I'm watching videos of 25-year-old surfers who are they're clearly like me. They've got the bug. They're addicted to surfing, but they're beating themselves up because they're not in a job every day working themselves to the bone. They even judge themselves because they'll go on a surf trip for a week or 2 weeks to Bali or wherever, and when they come back they'll go, I didn't make any money. What have I accomplished? I mean, it's even worse now than when I was a kid. So the idea of having to be trapped in one place and your value comes only from making money is a Ponzi scheme lie. The truth is that your wealth comes from energy, and your energy will expand when you go and experience the world. When you go experience, your soul came here to experience different things. And we have the ability, not like, a couple thousand years ago, you were stuck in one place, and if you wanted to go somewhere, took you months just to get any different place. Now you can get in a car, get on a plane, and you can go wherever the heck you want. And the idea that you need to have a bunch of money behind you in order to do anything is a lie. You don't have to do that. Go and experience the world. In terms of living, I think there's going to be more and more people who are going to be living out of vans or doing what I'm doing. I go, and I get short-term rentals for, a couple of months or a few months at a time, and I move on and I go somewhere else. And I think that's going to be something a lot more people will do. I'm not saying everybody has to do that. You might want to stay in one place, that's fine. But be prepared to be mobile, because as the world shifts, the idea of being hammered into staying into one place, that's going to start going away. All right, so all economic and societal structures will be eliminated. That's pretty clear. Money will be replaced with energy. Industry will be decentralized. 0-point energy will transform the earth. As I said, once enough people see that, and that there's enough people who are able to create it, I think what's going to happen is either one or more people who have access to 0-point energy are going to leak it to the world. They're going to put it up on the internet and release it. And right now, nobody's doing that, because if you do, you get unalived very quickly. Now it was very hard to do that when I was a kid. I remember one guy in particular, I've talked about him before, I don't remember his name, but he created a car engine that ran on water. And he tested it and he proved it. And there was, back when the news was more independent, it's never been fully independent, but when it was more independent than it is now, I remember a local news station going out and filming it, and you could see and prove, he was proving that he had it. And once he did, and once that went live nationwide, he ended up, he was gone. They unalived him. And so people who have come to this awareness, if they're stupid enough to reveal to the world that they've discovered 0-point energy, they get unalived very quickly, or they get scooped up and pulled into the, inside the elite, behind the elite walls, and they end up working for them. They get paid off, but usually they get, their work is stolen and they get unalived. So all it's going to take now, because of the world we live in, is one person who gives out, here's how to build it. And if that gets out to enough people, and once people start building 0-point energy machines, and there's too many people doing it that the elites, they can't unalive everybody, it'll start, again, a huge collapse. That's coming. So keep your eyes peeled for that. All right, so be prepared to migrate instead of settle. Reject the Ponzi scheme hypnosis. I think I pretty much said that. I could keep talking about that for a long period of time, but make the decision that you're going to reject the Ponzi scheme. All you have to do is go up, if you don't know what a Ponzi scheme is really, just go and research it. Just type in Ponzi scheme and then apply that to our society, and you realize we live in a Ponzi scheme. There's always the promise that if you invest more, you'll get rich. There's always that promise, and it never happens. What ends up happening, to keep you in the Ponzi scheme, they will give you money just to keep you interested. Stocks, bonds, all this stuff. It's Ponzi. The whole thing's a Ponzi scheme. Everything. The idea that if you just let me give you an example. People come to me, and again, they want to learn how to live the way that I live, which is I live from my soul. I don't get completely focused on money. As long as I have enough money to pay my bills today, I'm fine. But people want to have that. And so they come to find their soul desire, because I tell them, if you find your soul desire, the universe has to. Let me repeat myself. If you find your soul desire, the universe has to make sure that you stay alive. Because you're God fulfilling his desires. You're the one that created this universe. As long as you understand that, and you know what your soul desire is, and you live from it, the universe has to give you the resources, because the universe has to obey God. When you forget that and you go into the Ponzi scheme and you get your value based on what you're told, then the universe is not required to give you anything, because you're like God has gone crazy. So how did I get on that? Reject the Ponzi scheme hypnosis. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that, but you get the idea. So the next thing I'm going to say here is optimize your energy delivery system. So if you haven't heard by now, what I've been saying is that energy, not money, not acceptance, not fame, none of those things. Those things will not give you life. They will take your life from you. This is where all disease comes from. It comes from your energy getting pulled out of you. Just living with the intention of getting approval, which is, I have to have enough money to pay my bills. That's the same as saying, I need them to love me and accept me, and I'll keep working for my slave masters, for my torturers, because one day they'll accept me. This is the Ponzi scheme promise, that one day it'll all pay off. Just keep investing in it. Just don't leave the Ponzi scheme too soon. That is the lie. So if you understand that actually what happens is there's an equal exchange of energy. You give your love, you give your passion, you fulfill your desires, and when you fulfill your desires, you also help others. When you do that, that energy is replaced immediately by the universe, and your energy grows and grows and grows. You become healthier and happier, and that's what's going to be the currency going forward. So reject the Ponzi scheme narrative that says that you have to throw yourself away in order to be loved, and forget the idea that someday it's going to happen for you, because that's not how life works. If you were to take huge breaths, because your body only needs X amount of oxygen, right, as you're just normally breathing, and you go, well, what happens if oxygen just stops existing? I'm going to breathe a lot. And if you breathe a lot, get more oxygen in your body, it doesn't get saved, and then, unless you're able to live underwater or something. You have to continuously breathe, and you know that oxygen is going to be there. This is the payoff between your soul and the universe. The universe gives you energy on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis. You can't grab it and store it up and put it in the bank and go and take it out when you need it. You have to live it. You have to be in it. And it's always there for you. This is the new reality that is coming for us. All right, so optimize your energy delivery system. You have 3 energies in your body. You have life force energy, which is qi. Qigong means energy work. Pranayama means breath work. You have life force energy. You have kundalini. Kundalini is the energy that helps you connect your consciousness to an idea of spiritual essence. This is, and the reason why people have challenges with kundalini is because once you become aware that you're a spiritual being, your attachment to the Ponzi scheme starts to fall apart. And because people believe that the Ponzi scheme is their security and they're attached to it, it becomes a psychological crisis. That's why people tell you, be careful of kundalini. No, that's only if you're attached. This is why people who lived out in the wilderness and lived on ashrams and they would have kundalini awakening, it wouldn't be a problem because they weren't attached to the idea of money and fame and the Ponzi scheme. So that's the second energy, is kundalini. And the third energy, which is the one that I'm teaching on this channel as well, is the heart-mind electromagnetic energy, which is the energy of the light beings. The light beings live in that. And so now, if you want to be a higher dimensional 5D Earth person, you're going to need all 3 of those energies activated and working through you. This is what we teach. This is everything that happens in these 2 websites, maoshan.thunderwizard.com, thunderwizard.com. The main goal is to get you to the point where you can access this higher dimensional energy. And once you start living on that, you'll find out it's a completely different reality. All right, so optimize your energy delivery system, join groups, find a teacher, teach others. Got to get out of yourself. Remember what happened over the past 4 years with they were trying to keep you at home. They were controlling what information came to you, and that was so that you wouldn't be able to not only talk with people about what's going on in the world, but you wouldn't have an understanding of who you are except on your direct connection to Big Brother. Your direct connection to Big Brother is what supposedly gave you the feeling of being connected. So that's obviously not the way to go. And joining groups, finding other people who share your spiritual passions and talking with them. What we need to do as we shift is to create a new consensus of reality. Because the Ponzi scheme consensus, it's a hypnotized consensus. The collective unconscious, as it's called, is all vibrating. Again, if I walk outside, I knock on the door to the neighbor, and if I start talking to them about money being a real thing that exists, and I say things like the words economy, and I act like the economy is a real thing, not some made-up idea, and they're going to believe that. That's because we're both part of this unconscious collective that believes insanity, believes things that doesn't exist. This is how religions work. You have an artificially introduced idea that isn't real, but if you get enough people believing it, and if you attach to it, your value comes from believing it, then everybody keeps that lie going. Right? So that all of that is going to come falling apart. And the way that we change that is we get together with people who see the truth for what it is, and we remind ourselves of the truth. So people have been encouraged to isolate, and I encourage you to find ways to break that isolation. Find a teacher. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. There are no shortage of people on my channel who call me their teacher. In fact, they will sometimes email me, but they'll leave comments and they'll call me great and wise teacher, but I've never met them. I've never interacted with them. They've read my books, perhaps. They followed my videos. They appreciate the things that I'm teaching. They want to learn that. They see me as a source of knowledge that they want to understand. So yeah, in that sense, I'm their online teacher. But the role of a teacher, the main role of the teacher is to destroy your narcissism. What a teacher can do is to be able to hear in your communication, to see in your energy, to see in your actions where you are wrapped up in your own self-absorbed, narcissistic self-devaluation. They're going to see that. And the idea is that everybody, as they ascend, they have to break out of their own self-absorbed attachments to their narcissism. This is why the Ponzi scheme works, because it appeals to your narcissism. It appeals to your fear. It appeals to your greed. It appeals to your insecurity. So the teacher does the opposite. The teacher challenges all those things, which is difficult for people to hear. This is why I get people who will, it just happened the other day. Somebody put in the comments section, please help me. People will say things, I'll do anything you say. I'll say, great. Book a session with me. I never hear from them. It's because, they're going to say, well, it's about money. But the truth is, it's about the fear of breaking through their narcissistic attachment to their self-devaluation. And so you can't call me your teacher if you're not working with me. Some of you have a relationship with me in your head, but you don't actually communicate with me. Some of you have communicated with me probably 4 or 5 times, and you call me your teacher, but you don't work with me. So the point I'm trying to make is, it's good to have a teacher and to work with one on a regular basis. I don't care if it's a mentor, a teacher. I'm not the only game in town, and it doesn't really matter. Find somebody who has something that you want, and then work with that person. They will, in order to teach you what they know, they will help you break through your own narcissistic denial. So find a teacher. That's going to be very important. And then teach others. You'll see. When you teach others, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see it. Okay, activate your 3 energy systems. We already talked about that. It is Chi, it is Kundalini, and it is the heart-mind electromagnetic energy of the heart center called the Shi. All right, so money will be replaced with energy. Okay, 0-point energy will transform the earth. Success will be replaced with fulfillment. So if you're operating from your soul, what's going to happen is, instead of getting paid money to be a slave to somebody else, what is going to happen is you will seek to get fulfillment. So fulfillment, right now success means how much money you have, how many houses you own, how many cars you own, whatever. The Ponzi scheme. How successful are you in the Ponzi scheme? That's what we call success now. But success in the future will be how fulfilled you are. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about celebrities. I'm thinking about, people who, when I was a kid in the 80s, a young adult in the 80s, especially, female singing artists, I won't name any, you can probably think of a few. They were sex symbols and they were seen as tremendous successes. And now they're just pathetic. They're in their 70s and they're destroying their face trying to look 20, and they just look horrible. And you look at them and you feel so sorry for them. They're not even able to enjoy their previous success because they're trying. In other words, it doesn't give you any fulfillment. It's just it's an addiction that never ever pays off. And so what will happen is we'll live in a world where you will actually find fulfillment. And that will be your success. You'll look at people to see, wow, that person looks really happy. That person is so fulfilled. That person is so comfortable in themselves. It won't be, well, how much money do they have? How much success do they have? How many houses do they own? It'll be that person just shines. They'll look their age if they're old, but you'll see in them the wisdom, the fulfillment, the happiness. That is what is going to be success, not the Ponzi scheme narrative. Arbitrary countries will disappear. How many Earths will exist? That's my question. We are definitely in a shift between 3D and 5D. Those are just terms. But there's 2 different realities that are now existing. And based on my visions of the future, it makes me wonder, is that 3D Earth, is it going to disappear, or are there 2 Earths? There are going to be 3. I've also gotten some visions that show me there might be 3 separate Earth realities. That's really the question that I have. I don't know the answer to that. All right, so activate your 3 energy systems. So right now, we are in phase 1, which means we have to activate the higher navel power frequency. This is phase 1 of the 5D shift. Our navel center is being activated. Navel center is your identity. It is your unconscious mind. It is your subconscious mind. It is the physical reservoir of the chi, the life force energy that comes into your body. It is extremely powerfully responsible for your health. You cannot be healthy if you don't have a lot of life force energy flowing through you. And the navel center is where all of life force energy is stored, refined, and then sent throughout the body. This is why Qigong, Tai Chi, and even things like singing and other things focus on your core, your navel. You have to be centered. You have to, if you want to sing, you have to sing from your diaphragm. They're talking about the navel center. It has so much power just on a physical level. But we're moving to a higher frequency where we now are going to get the ability to create physical reality. This is going to come from the navel. And so we need to have access to that, because what is happening is people's navel centers are being activated and shifted. I've experienced this because I channeled a form, a Qigong form, which is called the Dark Warrior of the North, Tortoise and the Snake. I've been doing this kind of energy work, my whole adult life. This practice completely opened up my mind. Now, from an energy level, the energy that I felt wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It was powerful, and it felt good. It felt physically nourishing to me. But what happened after extended practice of this form, what ended up happening is, as I was doing this, what ended up happening is my entire understanding of my world opened up in front of me, and I saw my future, a different future, a different world. And then, as it so happened, I started becoming aware of things within this world that I was completely unaware of, which is either I was creating new world, or I was becoming aware of a world that existed that I wasn't aware of. But it's the same thing. You're creating a physical reality by activating this navel center. So this is extremely important, and this is what everybody's going to be going through as they're shifting. The question is, do you want to be dragged along with the shift, or do you want to actively participate in it? And that's what I want to do, and I want to help you do that as well. So to activate the higher navel power frequency, you can do the Maoshan practices that we teach here. First one is summoning the immortals. If you haven't done it, you can go to thunderwizard.com and click on shop, and you see there at the bottom the Maoshan Summoning the Immortals Moving Qigong. I've made that available to everybody. It's inexpensive. The reason I made it is so that people could feel the Shi energy, the heart-mind energy. And I encourage you to prove me wrong. Don't accept me what I say just because I say it. I don't want anybody to do that. I don't do that. I don't accept anything at face value. I have to go and experience it and prove it through experience first. I want you to do the same thing. I'm giving you the tools. If you go and do that form and you don't feel anything, then you'll know that either I'm full of crap or this is the wrong place for you, and you can stop wasting your time watching my channel. But if you feel the energy, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. And that's what I want. I want you to prove it to yourself. So that's the first thing to do, is to do the, if you're just brand new, do the Awakening the Immortals. Celestial Qigong, same thing. Click on shop and you'll see next to it Celestial Qigong. That's also like the basic of the Shi energy. I reverse engineered that 20 years ago or something. But very simple practices that will open up the heart mind, the Shi energy, which will connect you directly to higher dimensional energies. Ever since I released that 20 years ago, masters of Qigong, Tai Chi masters, Kundalini yoga masters have come to me and said, I'm a master of X, Y, and Z, and I've never felt anything so powerful, so pure, so high, such high frequency in my entire life. That's right, because it hasn't existed widely available to the world until now. So Celestial Qigong, that is also a very powerful way to go to learn that energy, and that will get you, get your navel center, the higher frequency of your navel center. The Lightning Qigong, that is also there, and you go to thunderwizard.com. This time you click on memberships. You'll see it there, Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Go ahead and do that. Just get started on that. You'll see this will activate all three of your energies, your Qi, your Kundalini, and your heart mind, your Shi. That is the fastest way to get all of them up and running. Now, if you've already done all of that, there's more that you can be doing. You can do the Xuan Wu Qigong form. I've already talked about that. You can find that at maoshan.thunderwizard.com or thunderwizard.com. Click on shop, you'll find it. If you want one practice right now, you're brand new, you're walking into it, and just give me one practice, I would say do the Xuan Wu form. because that will give you access to all three of the energies. But more importantly, you'll be working with a being called Xuan Wu, the true warrior, the dark warrior of the north, who is the master of yin and yang, is also master of earth and water. And these energies combined, when you put them in the right order, your mind will open up. The earth element is about your mind. So when you have an attachment to the earth in a positive way, the earth will show you true reality. Now the earth herself is completely shifting her understanding of reality. So when we connect to the earth, our understanding of reality will shift. So this form is the fastest way that I know of. Again, I'm the teacher, I've been doing this for years, and even I didn't realize what was already here, and it was a result of doing this form. So you can go do that. And now, if you want to get higher forms connected to you if you want to get even more energy for the navel center expansion, do the 5-element Mao Shan spirit fighting forms. You can go to thunderwizard.com, click on shop, you see it there. There's the 5-element wood set, metal, fire, and water. You can also get it at maoshan.thunderwizard.com and save some money. But either way, get started with that. We have to have the 5 elements. 5 elements are not only the 5 organs, they're not only the 5 energies that this third dimensional reality works through. It's also your emotions. I keep running into people who are blocked emotionally. Anger, fear, depression, confusion. These are all the 5 elements. Sadness. These are all the 5 elements. Wood is anger. You're resentful. It's because your wood element is either blocked or it's bloated. Metal or air. If you're depressed, it means that your metal element is either blocked or isn't flowing. Anxiety, that is your fire. If you have a temper, not resentment, that's just a smoldering anger. But you burst into angry. You get you have temper tantrums, or if you're impatient, or if you're full of anxiety, that means your fire element is either blocked or imbalanced. If you have fear, if you have inability to take action, if you don't believe that you are being given the resources to live, if you're constantly worried about money, that's water. The water element is either blocked or bloated. And then earth is the ability to comprehend reality. So if you're confused, if you're constantly stuck in your head and you can't stop thinking about things, that's the earth element. Now, we all have strengths and weaknesses, but the idea is if we keep all of these energies moving, we will continue to be healthy. This is going to be extremely important. So this is why the 5 elements are so important, and you can get them at maoshan.thunderwizard.com or thunderwizard.com if you click on shop. All right, if you want to go further than that, we've got the Hands of Infinity. That is about the navel center as well. That is the highest frequency. So people who are doing the first set or the Hands of Infinity, you are giving yourself the power in your navel center to not only be physically healthy, have not only all 3 of the energies flowing through you, but also the ability to control and create and manage your physical reality, literally create the universe. So that's just the navel center. There are 2 more centers that we can get to, and I'm going to be revealing those practices very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So for that, you can do the heart center and the third eye center, which, as I said, I'll be showing you in very soon. Keep your eyes peeled. All right, so we get through all of it. All right, so I babbled on long enough, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. We've got another live guided meditation tonight, which we do every Wednesday and Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope that you show up. If you can't make it for the live stream, go to the live section on my YouTube channel, and you can listen to any one of the recorded meditations that we've done. They're getting more and more beautiful, more and more powerful. I guarantee you, if you do it with an open mind, things are going to happen. All right, that's it, my friends. I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves. I'll see you all very soon.